Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hey everybody, welcome to this glorious Thursday of the season of Festival of Storytellers. My name is, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Clarence Causby. I have written the books Erebus the Ranger, Soul Exchange, which will be republished this year under Reader's Magnet, Talking to the Devil, and Armageddon. I am currently in the process of writing 3 books, which I'm hoping to have published this year, which is called The Service Corps. Sorry about that. It's The Service Corps and Clarence the Black Flame Warrior. And the other one, which I don't have a picture of, which I apologize about that, is Kararensu the Blacksmith. They're heavily influenced by anime and these books are going to have like a huge manga influence as well, because let's just say if you're reading about the story on page 5, you'll literally be able to see like what's going on. It'll be like in full manga with full like manga illustrations and stuff like that on page 6. So that's what I'll be doing for those 3 books. And so guys, I'm gonna be doing a special giveaway today, which will include like I'll pretty much ask you guys a question, and then whoever answers the question first will be getting those 3 books signed. Just email me at my email address, clarencecosbybooks@gmail.com. Let me know your email. Let me know your mailing address and everything like that. And then when those books come out, I'll sign them and I'll send them out to you so you guys can have them. I will be doing one final giveaway tomorrow, which will be the same thing, but that one will be pretty much any books that I've already published in any of the books that was coming out this year. But those you'll only get like 1 book in. You know, if you enter today, you won't be able to enter tomorrow, because I want to give everybody a chance to kind of like be able to, you know, get a free book. So today's going to be a little bit different from last week and this week. Today I'm going to be talking about what is kind of like for me, what I've experienced as an author, and kind of give some tips for anybody who's thinking about becoming a writer, or you know, just not really sure what to do about it. So I've kind of like wrote down some notes, but the first thing is always be yourself. Like always stay true to yourself. Don't compromise it for anything. Like if you feel like a certain way about something, you know, then write about it. And make sure that when you write, when you want to be like a writer and author, make sure you treat it like a business, like at all times. Because I'm very easygoing. I'm not very picky about too many things, but when it comes to my books, like I know kind of how I want my books to be designed, how I want the books to be, and everything like that. So, hey Leonard, how are you? So good to see you again. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. Hey Ethan, how are you? That's amazing. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for that. So, you know, and whenever you guys write, make sure you write when you actually feel like writing. My mom told me that before, and I was like, okay, sure. But there's a time I really didn't feel like writing. That was like the beginning of like last year. I was just like, whatever. I tried to write when I didn't feel like it, and I wrote about like 3 or 4 words, and then I just stopped. But when you feel like it, you can write down so much stuff, and you think maybe like, oh, maybe 5 minutes has gone by or so, but in reality, probably like an hour, 2 to 3 to 4 hours. So right when you feel like it, don't feel pressure to like writing. Take your time with it. Make sure you kind of go over everything. Make sure even after you finish like a certain part, maybe like one chapter or two chapters, kind of go back over and read it because there's sometimes like, oh, let me just go back and read. And like, oh, well, now that I think about it, I think I kind of want to change this. Even if you don't find nothing like right then and there, go back a few days later or maybe like a week later, and always like go back and make sure you check everything because you might find some things that you like. I'm kind of feeling a different way about it, so I think I'll change it to this or I'll change it to that. Always do that. Make sure you can use like a spell checker, like a grammar check as well. I use Grammarly, so that's pretty good. I know they have like a free one, like a free edition, which is the one that I use as well. Also, uh, don't be in a rush with your books. Definitely don't do that. Um, because when you rush, like you will make a whole lot more mistakes and everything like that, and it's not really good. Also, when you're writing, which I kind of have to like take my own advice for this one, is like take a break from time to time when you're writing. Because me, like, I don't know how it would be for you guys, but when I'm writing, I'm just so focused that I don't even like I zone everything out. There was matter of fact, I was writing Soul Exchange, and I was so into it. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Soul Exchange. It was Erebus the Ranger. Got up at I think it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. Hi, Chad. At what age did you realize that you were going to create a book and publish it? Ooh, that's a good one. So let me see. I'm 44 now. So that was probably about, I dare say, maybe about like 10, maybe like 11 years ago, because I was working at audible.com at the time. And, I didn't know what I wanted it to be because first I wanted to be a wrestler, professional wrestler. Then I wanted to be a chef. Then I wanted to be, a mortician, stuff like that. I just wanted to be like whatever. But I was like, I don't really know what I wanted to be. Then I kind of wanted to make video games, which was like a huge passion of mine because I love video games. But at the time, I was just like, I had a day off of work, and then like this idea came to me. Like I started getting like like not really pictures, but like kind of like I got like this thought about like I like these people, and then I'm just like, okay, well, why does it feel like this is supposed to be like a book? And I kind of like disregarded it. Sometimes we have thoughts we're like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't really make sense. And then I kept doing that for a few days, and it kept coming back like nonstop. And then passed it off again. Then another few days go past by, and then it kept coming back to me, and I couldn't really like understand it. 'Cause I'm just like, well, this is kind of annoying. So I was telling my mom about it. I'm like, I don't know, mom. Like, I feel like this is supposed to be like a book or something. I'm like, because I kind of know how it's all supposed to turn out, and I don't really know what's going on. So my mom was like, boy, like that's God telling you that you need to write this book. I was like, you think so? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And the thing I've noticed is, and I'm not saying that this is going to be for everybody because everybody's different, but people laugh at me when I kind of tell them that I have about anywhere from 50 to 60 books in my head. Because now, me personally, like I said, this is just me. I don't write. I don't take notes. I don't write anything down. I remember I have everything stored up in my head. I didn't. I wrote maybe. I don't even think I wrote the first chapter. I think I was maybe did about 10 pages of Soul Exchange, and then I just stopped. And it was about a good 6, 7 years later. I was like, oh, I'm tired of this job. I hate this job. I want to like maybe I'll write my book. Maybe I'll get rich from it. Then that way I can like leave this job. I can write books full time. I can get my mom a house and take care of her, and I can help my friends out, stuff like that. And then, like in no time, like as soon as I started back, it's like I didn't even like miss a step. I just continued from right where I left off. I think I changed maybe like very few things that are very, very minor. And I was just able to constantly continue from like where I had left off at and just pick right back up again. And I have books now that, and it's kind of hard for me, but it's a kind of like a good hard for me because I have a book that I was going to write, which is going to be like a series that I kind of wanted to write. And then when I found out that I had like a lot of people that were huge anime fans, I'm like, oh, I want to do like some anime books, which includes, the Cerberus Core, Clarence the Black Flame Warrior, and cut it into the blacksmith. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just do that. And my mind keeps going back to the book that I kind of originally wanted to write. So I'm like, maybe after I get these books finished and get these books published, then I'll kind of go back to them. But I still know like all the details from like all the series of the books so far of that one book that I want to write. I know from the beginning to middle to end of all of them. And so like it's good, but it's kind of hard to because I get so many new ideas of things that I want to write, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so confused. So then I had to kind of like breathe a little bit and then start writing. So that's kind of like how I got like my inspiration because that's why I said like I think my mom was right. I think like God really did give me that gift because I've never written any notes down, and I remember everything like in my head till this day. Ethan, I think I heard you explain the layout of one page occupied by text, and there's a page. I think it's nice. Just curious though, who influenced you to do that? So my friend Chris, my friend Chris Montalvo, he's like, I consider him like a brother to me, and we both love anime. So he got me the book Overlord, and so in the book Overlord, you see like this unique style of like art and everything like on the front cover. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then as I open the book, you see different characters. So those who are familiar with the anime Overlord, you see like a picture of like Albedo, you see a picture of Ainz, you see a picture of like Sabas and stuff like that. So I was just like, I'm like, that's kind of interesting because me as well, like, I love anime. And so the way I do my books is that I am very, very descriptive, like how a person looks, like their hair color, like if they have tattoos, if they have scars, how the weather is, how they're feeling. I try to give the reader a sense of an emotion that the characters are going through at the time. I'm like, I like the idea that you're able to see some of the characters. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with these books here. The Clarence the Black Flame Warrior, Kurensu, the Blacksmith, and the Service Corps because like on the front cover, I want to definitely have like an anime type image like on the front cover. And then as I was telling my friend, because he's the one doing from Arnaldo Rosado, he's the one that has done, like these book covers as well, like for me. He did he draw them and sometimes he does like on computer as well. And so I told him, I'm like, listen, can you do me a favor? Can you do like the covers of the book in anime form and then like on the inside do each character show like either their powers or their weapons and do like a little bio for them if I give you a bio? He's like, yeah, sure, that's not a problem. Like, can you also do one page where it's just like, complete full on like a manga like landscape, with like the drawings, illustrations. She's like, yeah, I can do that for you. I'm like, all right, cool. Because I really want people to really see what I'm seeing in my head and kind of literally visualizing. I mean, yeah, it's great with words and stuff like that. I had a friend, because matter of fact, it all came about with in the movie, I think it's like Alex Cross with Tyler Perry in it. And my friend, he's like, oh, like that's kind of strange. I'm like, what? He's like, no one ever, like in the book, it never mentioned that, Alex Cross was black. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I started writing, because everybody has like their own images of like what a person may look like. So in my books, I kind of want to give people a sense of like maybe like what the landscape is, how the weather is. Is it hot? Is it cold? Like, is the sun up? Is it like raining? Is it foggy? Stuff like that. Is it like kind of like creepy if they go into a house or do they hear sounds? Like is blood coming down their face? Is tears coming down their face? I want my books to be literally like you're reading like a movie. Except like it's in a book, you actually get to see some of the pictures from it as well. I mean, I would love for my books to actually be movies too. I think that would be amazing. So that's kind of like how like that part came about. Hi, Stephanie. Who's your favorite character among those you've created and why? Um, so, ooh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I was going to say Erebus because like I really enjoyed Erebus. Like I really enjoyed writing him like a lot. I really did. It was like it got a to me like I actually got a chance to really that one was like doing Erebus was a lot more therapeutic for me because you know how they because you see some people like, oh, you need to like let go of your frustrations, go jogging, do exercising, go to the gym, do whatever like that. So my therapy, if I'm upset, if I'm mad or stuff like that, is by writing. So that let me like literally like let go like a lot of my frustrations when I was having at the time was into Erebus. But when I got to the one that I'm working on now, the Cerberus core, and I was working on like the main character Kane. So Kane is like the main character of the story of like the Cerberus core. I was able to really bring out like my darker like side for that one because he had powers and everything, and he was just able just to go full force and really kind of like really like just go out there and really like tell people what he thought or anything like that. And that's another thing, it's always good too that when you're writing now, like with Erebus the Ranger. So Erebus the Ranger is like a medieval fantasy. So you guys definitely want to do your research as well because I didn't really want to do like a medieval fantasy book and be like, oh yeah, they went to the bathroom, like So I literally had to look up, what did they say when they had to go to the bathroom in medieval times, and what it was like the garderobe. I was like, oh okay, like, so that's what it's called. So researching will always help out a lot. Doing research, always make sure that you really have like absolute facts that you can prove 100%, because you will have people that be like, well, that's not real, or that's not true, that's not true. Well, where did you get that from? Oh, that wasn't like that in like medieval times or whatever time, stuff like that. So you definitely want to put like some credibility behind like what you write. And another thing that I had learned too, like I said, it's very therapeutic. Like if you're feeling frustrated about a certain situation, especially if you're writing fiction, to me, fiction is like my own little world that I love because I can put out situations too. Not only does it help me, but I figure too if people are going through like certain circumstances or so, they may feel like, oh, like he understands what I'm talking about. He understands what I'm going through. This character is going through the exact same thing, or this character said something. I never really agreed with it, but now I'm kind of thinking differently about it. So it's up to you, what you guys want to write about. It's all if you want to write fiction or nonfiction. Just make sure that you guys really, take your time with it and everything. Hey, Leonard. So, what is your tip to young artists, writers who want to be full-time graphic novelists or post authors? Um, it's something that one of the guys at my job told me, and that is keep working. Keep working your regular job, you know, and make your job pay for your books. And what he meant by that is so, like in my aspect, like if I'm paying, you know, like my books to be published, and okay, like I'm getting money from my regular job to actually do that, to pay for like the editing or to have it published or stuff like that, or even to do this stuff like this here, which is amazing to me. Keep doing that, you know, keep working until you actually make it. And that's what I'm trying to do next. I would love to go full time just to be able to stay home to write. And yes, like my first thing was like always about money, but it was about money only because I wanted to provide a better life for my mom so she wouldn't have to worry about anything ever again, to really help my friends out who's always been there for me so they wouldn't have to really struggle or worry. But like I've heard people say, you don't worry about the money, it'll come. And the thing is, like, you really have to grind. Like, and I mean by you really have to kind of like be like a royal pain to people. You really have to like post constantly on your social media pages, tell your friends about it, tell your family about it, stuff like that. But that's like the pro side, like you really doing that. But the con side of it is that people probably think that you're becoming annoying. People will probably be like, oh yeah, you know, like, oh, I'm so glad, I'm so happy for you. Yeah, you know, I'll tell everybody about your book, and they probably will, the but they'll probably like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do it, but then they won't do it. Then you're like, well, you know, well, they said it was going to help, but they didn't. So you know, it's really up to you. It's really up to you to really grind, you know, until you really do make it. You know, which is another thing too. Another thing that I've really personally experienced is that, you know, you have people that will call you. You know, once you have like a book out there or even a few books, if people are like, oh hey, I'm from such and such a, you know, publishing company, or I'm from this marketing company, like, hey, you know, I saw your book and everything, you know, it's very great and everything like that. You know, I thought it was amazing, but yet they can't tell you a single thing about what your book is about. And then, but then you have people who will really do their research to really try to get you, be like, hey, you know, this happened in the book. You know, I love this character. Dude, this character was great because of this happened in that book. And the thing is, you really want to do research about who you want to go with because you never really know. Hey, Lauren, things you consider when creating villains for your book. This is a good question. And the reason why I say this is a good question because I love villains. I hate heroes. I not that I really hate heroes, but I can't stand them. Like they annoy me. Like villains are the best ever. So I think of a way for a villain to be ruthless, to be evil, like, and to have like no regards for anybody or anything. So basically, you ever like been in a place, you know, and you really like someone like really annoys you, and you really want to tell them off, but you can't because, you know, they may get offended by what you say, or you may get fired or something like that. That is a perfect place to have a villain. You take all those frustrations and everything that you want to say to somebody, you put it right into that villain. I guarantee you that villain will be like the best villain ever. Because that's how I kind of like made some of my characters. Like the mind you, they're the main characters, but then I kind of think of them as like anti-heroes or so, or some of them may wind up becoming villains. You know, you have to create a thing where they're kind of like, well, you don't have to worry about like, well, why this, well, why are they like this. You just like, that person's a jerk. Like I really hate that person. And you know, you really have to really push the boundaries like with that villain. You really have to kind of really make your audience like absolutely hate them so much. But you can either, because there's like two types of villains: the villains that you really hate, like, oh, I just can't stand this villain at all, or the ones you're like, you know, one thing, like, I hate this villain, but like I love the villain at the same time because like they're so good. It was like you kind of have to flesh out the villain in a way, but give them like what. It's kind of like what I used to do back in like when I was in school was like have a circle, put like a, you know, villain in, and then kind of like what kind of traits do you want the villain to have? Like how far do you want the villain to go to? How, you know, evil do you want the character? Do you want the villain to be? Does the villain have a purpose for being evil? You know, is he always good, or did something happen to him to make him a villain? You know, stuff like that. So guys, oh, I know I'm doing like the giveaway, which is if I ask you a question, you get a chance to have a chance to win like the three new books that I'm gonna finish writing that are published this year, which is Cadenza the Blacksmith, Clarence the Black Flame Warrior, and the Service Corps. So if I ask you guys a question, you know, be sure to answer it, and then if I say like, oh, hey, congratulations, you won, even if it's like not on here, I'll look on the Facebook chat or even on YouTube, and I'll reply back to you to email me at my email address, clarencecausbybooks@gmail.com. Give me your shipping info, your address and everything, and when the books come out, I'll sign them for you and I'll ship them out to you. So let's get underway. What was the book that I said that I kind of gave me the inspiration to put in the manga, to put in like the manga type illustrations for my books, plus along with the text as well? So that's the question. Also, too, you have, as a new writer, you may be thinking about, you know, oh, you know, should I go independent or should I go with a traditional publishing company? That's something you really want to have to try to figure out and really want to do a lot of research on. Me, I'm staying like I am now, independent. I mean, as great as it would be to get more push, you know, if a big name, you know, traditional publishing company actually got me, yeah, I'd probably be like famous like all over the world. They would probably, you know, like translated my book into like different languages, which would be like phenomenal, to like Japanese, Russian, Italian, Spanish, stuff like that. Like to me, like as one of my dreams, like I would love that. The only thing is that I'm very protective over my books. Like I know for a fact that like Talking to the Devil, that's a standalone book of all times. Um, Erebus the Ranger, with a few other books that I'm working on now, they're going to be series. But now, if you take a book like Soul Exchange and Armageddon, right? These are all standalone books. But Armageddon is in the Soul Exchange universe. Like it mentions things and characters, from Soul Exchange. Do you prefer, hey Stephanie, do you prefer creating a whole new universe or adapt to real settings when you're writing your books? Um, it depends because if I want people with like powers or stuff like that, I mean, I can definitely use like modern, like a modern setting, like I did it with the Surface Core. With other books, I created a whole new universe and stuff like that. To me, like it really doesn't like it doesn't matter. I think it's like depends on like kind of like what I'm kind of going for. Now for like genre wise, I've done really like the three religious books I've done. The medieval ones like Erebus and stuff like that. I think it all depends on like kind of like what I'm going for now for like modern day times. Like I want to. I've heard a lot of people comment on like, oh wow, like you're really pretty good at horror. From what they've read like on my Amazon page. And so I'm thinking about doing like maybe like a couple of horror books. I'm thinking about doing, sci-fi with like cyberpunk and stuff like that, out in space and stuff like that. And a lot of like suspense and stuff like that. So I think it just like depends on like on what I'm going for. But I think most of the books that I will be coming out that's not really anime tied into it will be, modern day settings, like it'll have like cities, like cars and stuff like that. Some may be set into the future, but it will still be, like in a modern day. It won't be like any kind of dragons or crazy stuff like that. Hey Ethan, I was just really curious. One of your books, what do you think is the coolest for video game adaptation? What's for the um ooh, Erebus. Because Erebus is would be a little bit more easier to control in a way. I mean, there's not a whole lot really going on. I mean, it's possible, but it would be very limited with like the Cerberus core because there's a lot of powers going on, a lot of you know stuff involved there where you couldn't really put it all into a video game. You could probably put some, but then again, you would have to really dumb down the character like a lot because like the characters like would be so overpowered. But I definitely would think Erebus the Ranger because you got like shooting of the arrows and stuff like that, which I think would be like absolutely amazing for a video game. I would actually love for like my books to be a video game, or be a video game to be on like streaming like platforms like Netflix, like Hulu, being like actual like anime movies or live action movies. I would love that one day, and I believe it will. I'm just that's another thing too. You gotta keep pushing yourself and keep on writing because last year I really wanted to give up on writing. Like I just had enough of writing because it seemed like nothing was going for me. It will take time. It will definitely take time. So what I've been thinking about doing is maybe reaching out to like certain like actors or people stuff like that and see maybe offering like hey, here's my books. What do you think about it? Do you think it's good be good for a movie or whatever? Ethan, thank you for answering my questions. Sebas the Master Butler. Oh, Overlord. So it's like Sebas is good. I love Sebas. Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. I love absolutely like I think he's great like as a butler. There's very few things where you see where butlers like really like go crazy though. But it's like in all animes. So like animes you got like as far as butlers go, you have Overlord with Sebas, you have the Black Butler, and then like even like sports games in anime are intense. And they're like very, very awesome. Like I love watching those. Oh, and another thing too. So it's as for like traditional publishers, like I'm very picky because I don't want people like if they're like standalone books. I don't want to come and be like, oh well, we need you to make another book about that. Like, how? Like, no, like it's a standalone book. They're like, we need you to make another book. I'm like, I'm not doing it. You're not going to tell me like what I need or what I don't need to do for like my book. If I understand my book is a standalone book, it's a standalone book. If a few years from now, then I make another one, fine. But that's just me. I want to have like my own freedom. I want my own control. That may be for some of you guys, or maybe you guys really want to go with the traditional publishers. That's completely up to you. And like if there's ever a time where you guys do come out with your own books and stuff like that, come by like my Facebook page, my Clarence Causby books on Facebook and on Instagram. Like come like message me. Like if you guys like, hey, guess what? I got a new book, Clarence. Like, hey, this is one of my books. I'm like, cool. I will like help you. Okay, so you like I'll publish it for I'm not publish it, but like I'll promote it for you. I'll put it on my Instagram page, like on my personal Instagram page, my personal Facebook page, my book, my author page on Facebook and on Instagram. So guys, I'm sorry, I wish I had more time to talk to you guys, but it's time for me to wrap up. Once again, what is the book itself that made me want to do like the mangas and anime and for like the current books that I'm doing now? What was the one? If you guys answer it, let me know. Put it in the comments and everything on Facebook, and I'll talk to you guys later. Tomorrow we're just doing a random answering questions and everything tomorrow, so it's gonna be a nice laid back, chill. Ask me questions you want about books, music, anime, whatever, movies. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys, and I'll see you later. I hope you guys win today. I appreciate you guys coming and spending time with me. I absolutely appreciate it. I love you guys. I wish you guys all the success for all the new ones out there. You guys are gonna make it. We're in this together. I got you guys. Take care, guys. Have fun.